Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick 9G. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Twilight Zone. More specifically, about a really awesome episode of the Twilight Zone. If you haven't seen it, you should really check it out. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the episode as well as a really amazing special effect that you probably have never heard of. It was revolutionary at the time when it came out, and it was present and evident in this episode. Now, the episode that I'm referring to is from season 1. It's episode 24. It's called Long Live Walter Jameson. It aired March 18th, 1960. Now, this is an episode that I really enjoyed because the focus of it is the idea. The idea of what is going on kind of builds up in your head, and the possibilities and just the reality of the thought of what is going on is pretty mind-blowing. Now, the character that we are introduced to is Walter Jameson. He's played by the amazing Kevin McCarthy, who's also in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He is amazing. I love him as an actor. Pretty much fell in love with him in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and then watching this, I love that he was in this Twilight Zone episode as well. He plays Walter Jameson, who is a history professor. Now, he's been teaching at the university for about 12 years, and he was proven to be very popular with the students. Why? Well, he had a unique ability to bring the subjects that he was talking about to life. Now, he was engaged to a woman named Susanna, and he had a good friend, a professor named Sam Kittredge. That's Sam Kittredge's daughter that he was engaged to. Now, one thing that Professor Kittredge noticed about his friend Walter is that he seemed to never aged in the 12 years that they had known each other. So, of course, that is pretty unusual. Now, Walter admits that he is far older than anyone can imagine, but before he and Susanna can elope and get married, someone from his past pays him a visit. Who is this person? Well, of course, I don't want to spoil it, but I will just because for sake of this. It's one of his wives, or because he married multiple times. This man lived over 2,000 years, and obviously as the women grew older, he would no longer be with them and then find someone around his age or younger, get married to them, and so forth. So he kept doing this, and his wife, who was, I guess, in her 90s, shows up, and it's pretty mind-blowing to see that and to imagine that thought. Now, what's really crazy about this episode is that it deals with immortality, but a lot of that seemed to creep into the real lives of these actors. Now, what am I talking about? Well, the woman who played his wife, the older woman, she was pretty old in this episode. Her name was Estelle Winwood. She lived to be 101 years old. Not only that, Kevin McCarthy, who played Walter Jameson, who supposedly lived long in the episode, he lived in real life to be 96. Now, another actor, Edgar Staley, who played his father-in-law, he passed away just before turning 89. He almost turned 90. And Dodie Heath, who played one of the wives, or the woman he was supposed to marry, died at 96, which is absolutely mind-blowing. In fact, she died a couple months ago. Now, the specific thing I want to talk about in this episode that has to do with special effects is really, really awesome. Now, it's a technique that is not really used today, but it was popular in the 20s and continued going on to the 60s pretty much until color started playing a role into television and movies. This only did well in black and white. In fact, it was an effect that only worked in black and white, and it was created by the man Carl Struss. Now, it's pretty genius if you think about it, and I'll talk a little bit about how it works and why it works. Now, if you think about a show in black and white, there are many colors, believe it or not, because you have white, you have black, but then you have, I don't want to say an infinite amount, but you have tons of different shades of gray in between those. And that's how we differentiate depth. There isn't just one color of gray, so there might be something that is red and green and blue in the episode or something like that. But because everything are different shades in black and white, they do appear as different colors of gray, which create a sense of depth and realism in your eyes. Now, red is a color that appears close to black. It's basically the darkest you can get without going full black. And this concept of using the color red was what they used in the transformation for Kevin McCarthy. See, they needed the Walter Jameson character on screen. They didn't have CGI, no computer graphic imagery, nothing like that. They wanted him to all of a sudden transform and morph from a middle-aged man to an old man on screen without cutting, a continuous shot. So how did they do that? Well, they use this advantage of the color red. What they did, they put makeup on Kevin McCarthy that was red. In fact, the red was almost like a highlight color, if you can imagine, like a highlighter, right? Or something under a UV light that would appear. So the red would be on his face as opposed to his natural skin color. There would be a difference in color there. After that, they would light the set with key lights that were red as well. So red with red, if you view it through black and white, it disappears completely because the red filter makes the makeup disappear. So it almost looks like he has no makeup on. Now, when the scene progressed, the key lighting would be slowly triggered, or it would be dimmed from red to green. And as that changed, the change was imperceptible in the black and white. It would just look like a complete morph. In fact, all it would do, it would slowly highlight the red. It would come to bloom. It's almost like an appearing effect, but all that was doing, it was slowly making the red appear, but because it's in black and white, it would appear as a dark color, which is so awesome. It's a great effect, and it was used in other TV shows and movies, but it was used in the Twilight Zone, and Rod Serling made sure that he used it. Now, it made Kevin McCarthy's face appear to age pretty much spontaneously. It couldn't be done with any other technology in the 60s at the time without taking the camera off the actor, cutting the camera, doing all the makeup, and then kind of swinging back to him. But they didn't want that. They wanted the continuous effect. So if you look at this effect, I can't show it to you, unfortunately, because it is copyrighted, but go ahead and check out the episode right at the end, these scenes. It is really awesome. Really, really cool. Did you know about this technique? I think it's awesome. I wish they would use it more in black and white. Of course, we don't see a lot of black and white anymore, but if we did, it would be a really awesome technique, and looks really real, really fresh, and it is still surprising to this day. Look it up. It's online, and it is really awesome to see. Thanks so much for your support, as always. Only you can support my channel as a content creator, as a YouTuber, by hitting the thumbs up button and by hitting the subscribe button. That's the only way that I can continue making videos, and I thank you very much for it. And it's absolutely free to do so. We'll see you all next time. Don't forget to always stay positive, and most importantly, be hopeful. A really big thank you to all my Diamond tier patrons: Jerry D, Stacy L, Scott R, Citizen Kane 359, Jennifer P, David D, Kevin K, Sally N, and Vito L. If you want to be on this list or receive exclusives as a great way to support the channel, visit my Patreon description below. Thank you.